Welcome back to another video from Crafted Terrain. My name's Lee and today I'm going to be showing you how to make this really cool lava rocky terrain just using some garden materials and basic paints and a bit of gloss and stuff like that. Should be a simple build that will look really good on your gaming table and stuff like that, and this is going to be going on our Mustafar table for Star Wars Legion. So hope you enjoy this one, guys. Let's get into the video. Okay, so to begin, we're going to need to make our bases. So for that, I'm using 6mm MDF. I really like the 6mm stuff. One, it's cheap, so a large project like this, you want to keep the costs down, and the 6mm stuff's quite durable as well. With like stuff doesn't really warp and things. So I want to start by just drawing on some oval like shapes, like so, and then you want to cut them out. Okay, so once it's cut out, it should look something like so. Whenever you're cutting MDF or sanding and there's going to be dust, make sure that you wear a mask because it is harmful stuff, okay? So once you've got all your shapes cut out, the next stage then is we want to get rid of this like square chunky edge, and we're going to bevel that down, okay? So for that, you'll need a sharp crafts knife, and then you're just going to go around the edge like so, just shaving in and cutting out and creating that angle, okay? So you're chipping all that off like so, okay? Then you'll end up with that kind of edge. It's a bit rough looking still, so we're going to move on. We're going to grab some sandpaper, and then you sand all around the edges to create a nice blended smooth look like so. You just literally rub till all the knife marks are out. Not going to do that because I don't wear my mask because I'm talking, but if I hold that up, you should finish with a nice sort of smooth edge, okay? I'm going to go and get another 9-10 of these done. We'll come back and move on to the next stage. So what we're looking to do is, with the base complete, we've got our chipped bark. You can just get this from your hardware store. I think I got a 50-litre bag for around like £14, so more than enough to do all of the terrain. We've got our bases, and we're just going to use hot glue, and we're just going to put hot glue all the way around the edges and then pushing this in so it's going to stand up, so you've got like that volcanic rock sort of thing just like sticking out of the ground. You want it nice close to the edges, and we are going to use a basing material as well to tie it all together. So nice thick globs like so, and then just want to push and hold, and then just put a bit more around that edge, and then as it cools, that should hold in place. So it's nice and thick, and you're just going to have to give a few seconds or so to hold that in place while the hot glue cools. It is time consuming. You can just continue to go around the edge like so, halfway, and then as that cools down, you can get to it and place your blocks in place. You don't have to be neat with this, just get it on. So, almost set. I'm going to let this cool, start to put them in place, come back and show you how it looks. Okay, so look, we're halfway round. So just to show you the process, as the first layer of the hot glue has dried and it's in place, we can just go around then on the inside, because that's the bit you're not going to see the most, and just add another thicker layer. So you end up with around 1 centimetre of the bark buried into the hot glue. That's going to help it hold in place, so when it's on the table and it gets knocked and stuff, it won't just snap and come straight out. So you can see we're getting it all buried in. You can come around this side, especially at the joints, and when we add our ground cover, this will all get covered, or you could even paint that up as lava if you wanted to, and let that dry, and we go all the way around and just finish it off. Okay, so all the rocks are on place. As you can see, they are firmly in. You can see all the hot glue. Don't worry about these little bits that are coming over the edges here. We're going to cover them now with the ground cover. And then the bits on the inside will paint up quite nice with the lava. And then any bits like where, if we can see here, that's coming in between the rocks where I've used to hold them in place, you can also paint them up as lava. So you're going to need a brush, some PVA glue, and the ground cover that you're using. This is just a mixture of sands and some then cork. Then all you're going to do is take your PVA and then just brush around the edges like so, to fill in all them gaps. And that's just going to help tie the piece together basically. And then just use your spoon or paw or whatever it is you're using over the top. I've put some parchment paper down to hold that in place, and then that's just going to give you that ground, and it's going to look as if them rocks have been forced up through the ground like in an earthquake that's created this lava-y, volcano-y sort of top. So you just got to go around all the piece, complete all that, then we'll come back and move on. Okay, so I've given it a good like 6 hours to dry in a nice warm room. That's not going to come off now, but to make it extra secure, we're going to do the wet working. So for that, I've got my little PVA spray bottle. That's probably, I think it's 10 parts water, 1 part like PVA. And all we're going to do, or roughly, and then we're just going to spray that on to all the bits with the sand. That's going to help lock it all in place. So just give it a nice generous spray. That'll soak in. Just give it that extra protective layer like so. Go all the way around the piece and then just set that aside for a couple of hours to dry, and then we are ready for painting. Okay, so with the wet work predominantly dry, it is still damp. The next stage that we're moving on to is I want to try and seal this bark. Just because when bark gets banged, it can chip, it comes apart and stuff like that. So a coating of PVA glue mixed with water. This is probably 4 parts water, 1 part PVA. And we're just going to brush that over all of the bark like so and let that soak in. And that'll just help seal and protect and hold it all together. You haven't got to be neat, this will dry clear. So just brush it on, get it into all the gaps. Like so, and just leave that to dry. I'm going to leave this overnight now to dry, so in the morning we're nice and hard and ready for painting. So the piece has been sprayed. I've used this cheap matte black that I got from Amazon. This half a litre can is like £6 and it's done all 10 pieces. I've then hit it with some grey from above just to help this next process, to give it a little bit of a zenithal so you can see some of the details. Next stage, I'm just going to use a mixture of this cheap grey with some white just to give a dry brush over the top of the piece, basically just to bring out a little bit more of the details. So if I just come around here, just hit the top surfaces like that just to make the sand and the grit along the base and the very edges of the rocks stand out. And then when we come to do our painting and our lighting from the lava, these edges that are a little bit lighter, when they are hit with the reds and stuff, will just stand out and give that OSL sort of glow effect. So just go around, just dry brushing it all on nice and light, nothing too heavy, so we get that nice grey ashen look sort of look like so. Okay, so moving on to the next stage now, we're just going to need some red acrylic paint. I've got a large brush and a small brush, and the first stage we want to paint in this inner circle here where the lava is going to be red just to cover the black. When we get to doing the progression through to the orange, the yellows, and finally like some very white highlights, we are going to just do wet blending. But right now, as you can see, it doesn't cover the black enough, so I'm just going to do 1 coat of red first, let that fully dry, then bring the second coat over the top and wet blend into that basically. Okay, so just get this in there. You don't have to be too neat. If some goes up onto the rocks, doesn't matter, that will help with the OSL. So just get a nice covering like so, then we're just going to let that dry. Okay, so I've given this a couple of coats now in the middle. So it's fully red and you can't see any of the black. For the next step then, I've prepared my palette. I've got this cheap red acrylic. Again, all these paints I'm using are cheap, you know, under £3 really, is £2.50, £3 a yellow. Then you're going to need a little bit of white and a little bit of black. I've got a selection of different sized brushes. The small ones will be to doing the little white details and stuff like that. So we're going to start by painting again all this base in the middle red, so it's wet, so we can blend our colours. Okay, just get a nice helping in there. Again, you haven't got to be too neat, so that's all wet. And then I'm going to grab the next brush, then grab an orange, and then sort of just paint this in from the middle now and blend to the colours. See, I'm sort of painting, dabbing / stippling this on, and then just pull the red into the orange so it blends. Okay, like so. Then get a bit thicker and then just keep it more orange towards the middle, because eventually we're going to get in there with some yellow. Okay, that looks okay. Then my next brush, my yellow, again just pull it, mix it, don't go all the way to the edges of the orange this time, create that gradual blend. Trying to leave some of the yellow now so it's bright. Now I'm just going to let that semi-dry. I don't want it to go fully dry, but I need it to be a little bit drier for the next step. Okay, go back to some yellow with it semi-dry, and this will help the yellow stick a little bit more. To stand out. Again, now I'm going to let this fully dry. Now that's got a nice blend to it. I just really want a bright yellow now, so I've mixed some more yellow and white here, and I want this to be very wet, and I just want to brush this now into the middle and just really give it that that look where the lava's really hot and really glowing. Just pull them colours through, smooth it with the wet brush, bring it to a point towards the corners, just brighter in the middle, like so. And then you can go back to orange with your wet brush and a wet brush and just pull the orange through the yellow just to help that transition back down so it doesn't look too unnatural. Again, you end up with a nice bright yellow centre like so. Okay, you can see that's fully dried now, and that looks fine. You could stop there if you wanted to, but I just want to take some yellow now, mix it with a bit of water so it's run down, and then just again just go back over the top, because I want this middle to really be bright. With my brush I'm dipping into water here, and this is a very wet yellow just to help with the blending. And then I'm going to mix a bit of white to that so it's brighter. pull that through the middle. Like so. Again, let that dry, and I'm going to repeat till I get to the point that I'm very happy with. So now with just a wet brush, I'm just smoothing out the colours and just blending them in so you don't have any heavy transitions between the oranges, the reds and the yellows. That's coming together quite nicely. And just let that dry. So then we're going to use our black now for where the lava is coming closer to the rocks. So just get a little bit on your brush, wipe some off, and then we're just going to dab that in around the edges. So if I hold it, look, so hopefully you can see that, and that will just represent the lava cooling down as it's getting closer to the rocks, and it just helps with that realism look and the blending and tying everything together really. I'm just using one of them old like cheapy bristly brushes that you can get from your arts and crafts stores. Just bring that in, and it's a damp brush. So as you can sort of see inside, gives it that realism look. And then we're just going to add some finishing touches. We're going to add some lava to the outside. I'll show you how to do that. So I'm taking one of my smaller brushes, going to get it in the red, and then just pick a spot where it can look like it's seeping through the rocks, like here for example, and then just dab this on. That's going to create that lava. You'll need to do the same again where you put a few layers of the red down, just to hide all the black underneath and stuff. So just get that down, let that dry, do 2 or 3 layers. Once you've done that, we'll start to add the orange and the yellow. Okay, so with all our lava leaking out in place, just go back round now and throw some red onto them all, because you need it to be wet to do this stage. You want it nice and thick. That helps create that lava look and feel. So this one there, and don't worry about cleaning your brush, just go straight into the orange here. And now you literally just want to push and mix in some of the orange into each one, sort of not fully blending it, but just pulling and mixing the lumps, leaving the red around the very edges and trying to keep the orange more to the center, like so. Then straight from there, I will clean my brush off this time. We're going to go into the yellow. Get a dollar yellow on your brush, just in a smaller amount this time. Just pull, and if you put too much in, just pull and mix it around. It's starting to look really good. One last one this side. The thicker paint really does help create that lava effect. This sort of bit of yellow there in that middle and on the edge. Like so. I'm just going to let that dry now, and then we're going to add little specks of white to that yellow. Now with my smallest brush available, I'm just going to take my white and just dab it, touch it onto the ends of the tiny little amounts, just onto the ends of the yellow. There. If you get too much, just poke and push into the yellow just to blend it out. And then once it's dried, I'll show you a way to make it look very natural, because sometimes you don't get pure white in nature, so it can just not look exactly right on the piece. And now you just need to let that fully dry, and then we're going to come back over the top with a very, very light yellow. So where we can see how that white just looks a little bit unnatural, just get some water, tiny bit of white paint, and spot of yellow, like so. And then you just clean that brush off so you don't too much. Just dab it over the tops of the white once it's fully dry, and that'll just help disguise and blend that white away basically. So I'm just make it look a little bit more real, but we'll still give it that very like hot, glowing lava look. Bit there. Okay, and then we're just going to move on to the finishing touches. Okay, so one of the finishing touches I want to add is some glow to the rocks. So just get the red on a big brush. I'm just going to dry brush that around the rocks where the lava is, just so it creates that sort of glow, as if you've got light and that the rocks are hot basically and being heated up. Just go around the piece, adding that like so. And then you also want to add some to the tops of the rocks. That'll give again a glow effect, as if the rocks are in a dark, like volcanic atmosphere. I mean, this table is for our Mustafar table, so if you think of Mustafar, for any of you Star Wars fans, or your Mount Dooms, if you're building this for like a Lord of the Rings Middle Earth table. And then just get all the tops of the rocks so it shows that they're hot and glowing. It just adds a nice little effect. And there's one more thing I want to do to finish it off. Okay, so the final finishing touch, once all the paint's dried on this lava and stuff, it just doesn't look as good, just doesn't give that like effect of it like being like that hot glowing lava as much. So I've got this artist's gloss varnish. This bottle's £5 for half a litre. It's not the stuff you use on miniatures and stuff like that, so don't do that. But all you're going to do is just brush this over the tops of the lava, and once it goes on very thick and white like this, try not to get it on the ground cover. So this will dry with a shine, like a very high gloss, and that will give it that that wet look basically, that which I think will make the piece look better. You don't have to do this if you don't want that shiny look. And again, I'm going to apply it all in this middle here. Don't get it on the bits where you've put the black around the edge, because that bit wouldn't be wet, because that's where it's cooled and turned back to rock. But just cover all of this middle piece, and then once it's fully dry, I'll come back and I'll show you how it's looking. Okay, there we have, it's dried. It's still got that nice shiny look, and I think that looks pretty good. Let's throw all this down on a table now, and let's see how it looks with a nice battle mat underneath. Okay, so that completes our video for our rocky lava terrain. As you can see, really nicely finished. I'm very happy with how it's turned out, and you'll be able to see that terrain in our Legion battle reports on the channel and stuff like that. So if you have liked the video, just remember to leave us a like, it helps the channel out. Drop us a comment, subscribe, and if you want to go that extra mile, check out our Patreon and help support us in that way. That helps the channel grow, and obviously it helps us do these videos, get materials and stuff like that. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed, guys. Take care, stay safe, and we'll see you soon.